organizing 3MT in NTU. So the rules of 3MT is we only need one single static PowerPoint slides, and we don't no additional electronic medium like sound or video files are permitted, and no additional props are permitted like the costumes, musical instruments, laboratory equipment. And the presentations are limited to only 3 minutes. 3 minutes, and the competitors cannot be set in 3 minutes. We have official timekeeper, Yunus, right here, and for Kellyson is his session, so I will judge not to be very strict on your time, but it's better to keep your presentation to be in 3 minutes. And the presentations are to be spoken word. Presentations are considered to have comments when a presenter starts their presentation through movement of speech. And the decision of the adjudicating panel is final. So we invite 3 professors to be in our judge panel. First one is Dr. Shraga Aidapalapati from School of Mechanical and Aerospace Engineering, and also Dr. Badro Hishram bin Ahmad Noor from SR School of International Studies. And we also invite Dr. Smith KG from School of Computer Science and Engineering. Okay. So here are 5 judging criteria. First one is comprehension, content delivery, engagement, communication, and presentation. So our judges will give score from these 5 aspects. So let's give time to the candidates now. First one is Chung Sung Kong from NIE.
Okay, so this part will be political examination as well. This is the mention
I'll come and see how you conduct it. Sorry.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Test. At all time, at my own time. Yes. Hi, I'm sure most of you have heard of this half myth regarding the left brain and the right brain. The left brain analytical, logical, relating to science, math, knowledge, and fact, versus the right brain, which is intuitive, emotional, spiritual, related to the arts and music. Well, actually, it's much more complicated than that, but still, I think this is a good representation, and it is very significant. Why significant? Look at the shape of your hair. Isn't it not perfectly round shape? Is your left side much bigger than the right side? No, right? Yet what happens in society? Society tends to favor the left brain activity more, and we want left brain activity more. This is where music comes in. This is why music is so important, to balance things out, because music tends to be a right brain activity, or supposedly so. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm a songwriter, a music composer, a music educationist, and a music researcher. The 21st century has seen education emphasizing a lot on teaching creativity, and music composing is a creative activity. Personally, when I compose music, I tend to approach it in a very intuitive and inspirational manner. And rightly so, I believe that's the right way to do it. Yet, based on my observation and research, I found that a lot of music teachers do not know how to teach music composing correctly. They tend to focus on too much of the use of the left brain on an activity that is supposedly right brain. Instead of teaching inspiration, intuition, creativity, they teach procedures using theory, music notation. Because of this disparity, this is where my research comes in, which involves case studies of professional songwriters. I'm trying to find out how they compose music and how they learn how to compose music. I'm trying to find out whether they use more of their left brain or more of their right brain. The idea is, if we know how the professionals do it, then we can inform and apply it to the classroom and tell the teachers, hey, this is how you should be teaching music composing. Pending the result of my studies, I strongly believe that the result is going to agree with me that the intuitive right brain is very crucial in music composing. And I want to bring this understanding into the classroom so that our future generations will not forget to make use of their right brain more, not just for music composing, but for anything and everything that they do. This is to ensure that the human being makes use of both the left and right hemisphere equally in a balanced way. And I strongly believe, you might think this is far-fetched, I strongly believe when that happens, it will bring about peace and harmony to human beings. It will save mankind from self-annihilation. It will stop the finger from pressing the button that will send off a nuclear warning to another country. No, I shall not end off this speech with somebody else's quote. I believe that I should end off with my own quote, which is this. Music has a very noble cause. It softens the heart and prevents man-made catastrophes from happening to mankind. Thank you.
Okay, now let's welcome our second candidate, Sandu Abine from Tripoli.
So the presentation will be very important by the lead also, so let's talk some time of the study I have to come. And then there we can write it down.
Okay, for one.
Okay, so about Chan Song Kong's presentation, do you have any questions? No? Okay. So let's just give the judges some time to write a comment.
This can modify. Yeah, modify it. Okay, because it's not today. Yes, it's not. This second. Okay, that's good.
Okay, now let's welcome our second candidate, Abine from Tripoli.
So, yeah. I'm confident every one of you still remembers the recent meeting between Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un, which happened in Singapore. But how many of you guys know what it was all about? It was about nuclear safety. When we hear of nuclear safety, the first thing we think of is it is only important during the times of war. But let me correct you guys, it's wrong. It's also important during the times of peace, because with the increase in number of countries to access to nuclear weapons, the probability of a nuclear weapon getting into hands of terrorist organizations increases. When they do not have missiles to launch them, they are going to smuggle these nuclear weapons into the society and detonate the weapons, leading to loss of millions of lives. To prevent this, countries have safety precautionary measures at all forms of ports, be it land, sea or air, where they scan radioactivity and nuclear material supply coming in. These scanners presently are very huge in size, weighing more than 20 tons, requiring supplies of more than 20 kilovolts. And if this is not enough, they even use a very rare element, helium-3 isotope, as a supply, without which it cannot detect radioactivity. The supply of helium-3 is so scarce that it is predicted to end by 2020, creating a dire need for a different way of measuring radioactivity or making sure that no metal comes in. That's where my project comes up. In place of using helium-3, my project uses boron, which is solid in natural atmosphere, resulting in the final design being a solid state. By employing a solid state structure, the advantages is I can reduce the size from very big, huge structures to less than 200 centimeters square in area, and reducing the weight of it from 200 tons to 200 grams, thereby reducing the volume and everything by more than 10,000 times. Apart from this, energy required to run this equipment is also less than 2 volts. So the potential difference required is 2 volts, making it highly feasible, portable, and having better usability. Since big expensive equipments are not involved, it also makes it cheaper. So I'm confident that once this project is successful or completed, these equipment will be available for the safety, will help increase the safety of people all around the world. Thank you.
Thanks. Do you have any questions about Abhinay's presentation? No? Maybe the judges have some quick comments for Abhinay's presentation. Any?
Boron would be the conversion layer which would actually detect the radiation, and then the whole electron is designed. But detection in boron detection of neutron basically, boron would act like a conversion layer from individual electron particle, that is just one thin layer. The remaining would be an electronic surface. Yes, even the helium cylinder kind of a thing. Helium is just helium cylinders basically give there are only 5 elements which can actually detect neutrons. Boron and helium are 2 of them. So helium being in a gaseous state, what happens is until it's 20,000 or 20 kilovolts energy supply, the plasma is not generated. During the plasma state of helium, that's where inserted neutrons generate ripples and you can detect the neutron presence. But in the case of boron, it is not the case. It is solid state, so everything changes. It's smaller and low voltage is required. The complexity is used.
Okay, thank you, Abhinay. Thank you, professors. So, next speaker is Zhu Xuelian from NIE. Please, the next speaker, please get prepared here.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. My presentation will start from a very simple story. That was a true story happened last it's the October before last October 2016, when Mr. Andrews, the U.S. Undersecretary, visited my home city, Chongqing. I was honored to be his interpreter. And as usual, the first question is about why Mr. Andrews was sent to Chongqing. And he said, "Oh, maybe I'm the oldest." It is a very simple sentence, but the tornado struck me at that moment, because I had to make sure the human effect is not lost. At the same time, I would never disgrace him with this age joke. That's why this tornado struck me at that moment. It is a very complicated cognitive process. I need to make sure I heard him correctly, because this perfect double vowel never appears in my home language, Chinese. We say, okay, okay. We don't say, okay, okay. And I need to combine my embedded linguistic knowledge and cultural knowledge with what I heard. It is a challenging job. And now I'm a student teacher in NIE, and my research is a pedagogical innovation about how to implement metacognition engagement into the consecutive interpreting class. We divide the student interpreters, into the focal groups and reference groups. For the treatment, we give them how to implement metacognition, which is self-regulation, self-monitoring, and self-evaluation in the classroom. And we see at the end of the treatment, we see the difference by qualitative comparison of their scores. And we also gather the journals, diaries, and we also conduct think aloud sessions to see how this metacognitive engagement enhance their competence. So ladies and gentlemen, you must be curious how I reacted to the Undersecretary, Mr. Andrews. Actually, after a second brainstorm, I translated it as 你可能是最资深，我可能是最资深的一位, which is a trendy euphemism of that word, that sensitive word, oldest. And at the same time, I also put on a smile and spoke it with an isentan, which is a hint to the audience. Please laugh, it is a joke. And they laughed, as I expected. A small success in interpretation can put on a smile on people's face. However, if we gather this success, interpretation success will exert extensive influence on international business, diplomacy, and people-to-people exchanges. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the very significance of my study. And that is the power of language. Thank you.
Ask some questions. Okay, so, and any comments from the judges? Thank you, professors. While our judges is writing the comments, our next speaker, Trash Shank, please get prepared here. let's.
Yeah, she's here.
Okay. Okay, let's welcome Thrush to give her presentation.
Do you know that the air around you can be a sustainable source of income? Actually, it is, and that is what my PhD is about. In my PhD, I'm trying to make a filter so that I can separate oxygen from air, so that I can sell this oxygen to various industries who need it for their various processes. So, as you all know, in air, oxygen is not alone. It has a companion called nitrogen. So, this oxygen and nitrogen have very similar characteristics that if you try to filter out oxygen from air, nitrogen will sure to follow. So, my challenge is to build a filter so that I can separate this oxygen and nitrogen efficiently. And my filter has to be economical as well as it has to be able to scale. So, crucial thing is selecting a suitable material. According to me, all the materials in this world can basically be divided into two. One is polymers, and the other is obviously non-polymers. So, there are certain non-polymers that can separate oxygen and nitrogen very well. But the problem is they are very brittle, cannot scale up. On the other hand, polymers have fairly good strength, but their separation characteristics are not up to the standard. So my strategy is to build something like a chocolate chip cookie. In this cookie, the majority is the polymer. And in this polymer, like chocolate chips, very small non-polymers are homogeneously dispersed. But I had to do a very thorough screening to choose the best candidate from each category so I can make the perfect combination to achieve the best separation characteristics as well as good strength in an economical way. So our lab scale tests are promising and I'm getting closer to make a sustainable income out of thin air. Thank you very much.
you, Suraj. Any questions for Suraj's presentation? Any comments from the judges? Okay, thank you, Suraj. Thank you, Professor. Okay, our next speaker is Suki Roy, whose topic is about DNA scissor. Let's welcome for her to give her presentation.
How many of you remember Queen Victoria? Queen Victoria was Queen of United Kingdom. She was suffering from a disease called hemophilia, which is a genetic disease. Like hemophilia, there are various diseases like color blindness, Alzheimer's, or even cancers. All these diseases occur because there is an alteration in your DNA. DNA is the fundamental basic block of our body. And my project is all about to find an universal solution for all the genetic diseases. Genetic diseases contribute about 10% of all the human diseases. So how to go for its treatment? The common treatment or the current treatment that are being used are drugs, hormone, or even surgery, where they try to overcome the symptoms of the disease. A new tool that has come in market is a gene therapy tool. Gene therapy tool is something when you could put a functional DNA inside the cell in order to overcome the faultiness of defective gene. But how to go for it? It's a very challenging stuff that you are putting a new DNA inside your cells. So scientists have used viruses in order to overcome this process. As we all know, viruses has the capability to naturally infect the cells. So when these viruses are being used, they deactivate the virus. But don't forget, viruses can be really dangerous. It is unsafe, it can activate cancer and can also damage your DNA. Moreover, these treatments are very short term. That means the patient needs to take the treatment multiple times, which is painful. And some of the patients has also undergone some allergic reaction because of these viruses. So we have developed a tool that can overcome all these problems. We have developed a new DNA-based method which is known as Legit, which doesn't take any help of viruses. So this tool, we found it doesn't cause any DNA damage because it can specifically insert a functional DNA at a safer site. That means it doesn't activate any cancer. Moreover, it can also edit stem cells. Stem cells are the cells from where you can derive all other cells, kidney, liver, lungs, anything. So if this tool is capable of editing stem cells, definitely it's going to work for the other cells. And we found that it has a very potential application in the gene therapy. because it is human friendly, doesn't activate any cancer, and is very efficient as compared to viruses. Currently, we are trying to commercialize this tool where we have collaborated with therapeutical company and they are using this tool on the patient sample to see how efficiently it can work practically. Hence, I envision a future where this tool will be used in order to treat human diseases and also save human life. Thank you.
Thank you. Do our judges have any comments for Sukirai?
Okay, this is lambda integrase genome editing tool. Lambda integrase is the basis tool from which we are using this tool. Efficient in the sense instead of viruses, correct? Virus just put randomly inside your cell. It is much more efficient in inserting the new DNA inside the cell, inside the DNA, as compared to virus because it's very specific. In the right place and a safer place, such that it doesn't activate any cancer. Efficient, I can say in terms of biology that if you transmit 100 cells, virus can do that in 40, 50. For us, we have seen 80% of the cells has taken the DNA. So in that combination, we say that it's efficient.
Okay. Thank you, Professor. Thank you, Sukirai.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Li Yang from School of IGS. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
To start with, I want to ask you guys two questions. How many of you agree that Singapore is the city with most trees in the world? No one? Actually, according to a recent study by MIT, it is. And how many of you have realized that more tree failures will occur in the future? I'm not trying to make you upset, but I know that we all love trees. We know how trees bring us so many benefits. We always want to plant trees as many as possible. But are we planting trees wisely and considering its resilience to the future climate? Tree failures are usually occur in Singapore actually, and many people argue that Singapore has very small wind speed. Why trees still fail? Because there is a large amount of rainfall in Singapore. And why rainfall could induce tree failures? Just imagine that if you walk on the soil after rainfall, what do we feel? We feel it's soft and we feel slippery and we feel easy to fall down. And similarly for trees, they feel slippery and because the rainwater's infiltration lowers the soil strength, softens the soil and leads to tree failures. However, the effect of rainfall is rarely considered in the global research in tree stability problems. And my research is to estimate the effect of climate on tree stability, including both the effect of wind and the effect of rainfall. As climate changes, there will be higher rainfall intensity and higher wind speed. Therefore, the number of tree failures will increase, which will worsen the climate change in turn. And I'm trying to use simulations to estimate the effect. With simulations, we don't have to do destructive and expensive experiments. We will understand that which tree species is more resilient to the future climate, and we will know what is the threshold of wind speed and rainfall intensity that could lead to a tree failure. Now let me ask you a question again. How many of you realize that tree failures will commonly occur in the future? We realize, but we will not let it happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Yang Yang. Any comments from our judges?
It was real quick, and just wanted to ask you, is it because of the winds or the natural problems, natural things that occur in the environment, or is it because of the man-made mistakes that we make in the environment, which really impacts on the failure or falling down of the trees?
That's a good question. Actually, in other areas, let's say in USA, the wind speed is very small, so we can say the wind is the main cause. But in Singapore, in USA, the wind is big. But here, the wind is small, and sometimes because too much water, some of the trees fall down because of decay. Okay.
What I have seen,
Yeah.
I think it's been cited to you, where I see the majority of because of the factory
Yes.
that has taken us
Cut down the road.
cut down the road.
Yes. Yes.
Because of that problem,
Yes.
the root is not strong, and maybe the water is not strong enough to come down.
Yeah, some of the tree failure, such as the botanic tree failure, because they cut the tree and the tree is so big. Yeah, but most of the trees along the roadside in Singapore, actually, they already keep some distance. Actually, they do not cut the roots that much. Actually, the roots are yes. So, and also if you look into the future, the rainfall, if you do take a look, actually most of the tree failure occur during the rainfall, after rainfall. Yeah, and in the future, so we are looking into the future if there is higher rainfall intensity.
How do you find the worst tree failure?
Let's say it's a tree falls down. Yeah.
I mean, I can keep everything and say the fruit tree is supposed to be fruit. You need a fruit and to say that it's a
Yeah.
point cannot be point with the
Yeah, sorry, I will clarify it myself. Actually, from the mechanical view, right?
So another thing is that it's not only the tree but also the branches on the ground.
That one is not classic, not like the tree failure, it's more like a branch failure. In my case, yeah. And the whole tree falls down. Thank you.
Thank you, Yang Yang. Thank you, judges. Okay, our next speaker is Ngoi from Chiboyi. Let's welcome Ngoi to give his presentation.
Should I start? Okay. So, autonomous vehicles are making the headlines these days. So, the thing is that even despite the recent progress in the field of autonomous vehicles, there is still two questions that are still of concern. Like, one is, will it be safe enough for the pedestrians? And two is, while ensuring safety, can it maintain an optimum speed like normal drivers do, right? So, to answer these two questions, one major solution is that if the autonomous vehicle can predict the intention of a pedestrian about crossing or not crossing, like 1 second before the event, then it will have sufficient time to control his motion dynamics, right? So, so how to predict pedestrian intention? So, the recent approaches use the pedestrian motion
to determine his intention. Like if pedestrian moving fast, then crossing, or if he is moving slowing down or just stationary, then not crossing. But if we want to predict intention like 1 second before the event, then only the motion dynamics is not sufficient. So let's think what other information influences our intention when we are pedestrians. Well, most certainly it is the distance and the speeds of the approaching vehicles, right? So we call this information the vehicle context and use it along with the pedestrian motion to determine pedestrian intention. So let's see how our system performs when we apply this to predict 1 second ahead intention in a real-life complex dataset. So we find that only motion-based system has an accuracy of 77%, but our system has an accuracy of 90%. And considering it a real-life dataset, this accuracy is pretty good. And not only this, our system also has faster decision making, like it uses only 100 of a second for its computation. So while all these initial results look promising, but still 90% accuracy is not enough for real life applications. So what we are currently doing is including more determining factors like zebra crossing or the street width, like what pedestrians consider for their intention, and achieve 100% accuracy. Hope that we can achieve, we can deploy our system to an autonomous vehicle soon, while having this, having achieved this accuracy in the near future. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone has? Okay.
Optimum speed. Actually, ultimately, like if you want to see like maybe 5th generation or something like that, from here like advanced generation, like we want to have a very smooth ride in the autonomous vehicles. Like it should not be like stopping everywhere. Like we saw actually that's a very important question. I mean, in Waymo, the leader in autonomous vehicles. So if you see their current videos, I mean, we find that they keep stopping. I mean, like most of the times whenever they see a pedestrian. I know that safety is 100% concerned, but at like maybe 2 years down the line or 3 years down the line, we would like to have an even smoother ride in the.
I think what you're aiming at is actually the move on safe ride.
Yeah.
Rather than fast. So this story is the assumption of opportunities and origin is always that profit will be profit. Yours are right. But okay, so management social rights, all of this is about worker productivity. You want to get to office fast so that you work more, so that you speak as much as you can do, and then you don't need to go home, so you can speak, so that you only go for
Yeah.
Now, from a sort of humanist point of view, we argue that slow food. Why can't I just travel at 40 miles an hour? Why do I need to rush to office? If automobiles, the automobile industry is a key player in business communication and communication operations. If cars were slower, our work-life pattern has to change. Offices, businesses, establishments will understand that you don't need time to go to work, and then you don't have to rush. And maybe our working hours is shorter and we become more productive. And this is already being experimented in some of the European countries. By that, you don't have working hours again. You work actually just with 4 serious hours of work a day. You're actually more productive in some cases, right? So this whole thing about speed, I think it's, I know it's not related to the research.
Okay.
But I think we need to be smooth and fast. Because a smooth, safe ride can actually be a slow one.
Yeah.
Actually less stressful.
Yeah.
For example, in school, if we rush to school, we get so stressed and we don't study. But I think better to I didn't want to break this between
Yeah, yeah.
right at the beginning. And I think we're talking about smooth rather than fast.
Yeah, what I'm trying to say is like optimum speed. So that may not necessarily, say like more speed. Optimum is like, more kind of what you suggested, like smooth, yeah. Like optimum means, like not very slow as well. Yeah, whenever it sees a pedestrian, it should not it should just, make a path, make a plan of the path that just avoid the collision or maybe just stop it. So in certain ways. So that's what. Yeah. Thank you very much. Any other questions? Thank you.
Just for motion and chemical related disease of system, or is it related to the pedestrian motion?
Yeah, the pedestrian motion it is only.
Basically the cell phone. When you look on the cell phone.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so actually, those kind of minor informations are very hard to detect from this RGB images, like the camera images. So for now, we are just trying to focus on motion because motion is a very good indicator of ultimately, even if the context fails, the early detection fails, but still the motion can tell you like whether he's in front of you or whether he's performing something that is like extremely dangerous. And since it's autonomous, so the reflex action, that timing also is pretty fast. So you can have much lesser, safety margin actually in terms of time and brakings. So yeah, that's what we are aiming for. Yeah, I'm continuing my research.
No. Why am I asking? From last year to this year, so what was the improvement in your research side?
Research side, so the improvement is last year I was using more ideal data, like not much real data set. So now this data is actually a real life data set. So it is like complex real life captured from moving vehicle. Last year it was static camera data and all these things. But this year we are using actual real life data set. So that makes it more interesting. So we achieved 92% accuracy in static data set, and here we can achieve 90%. So it's pretty promising actually. So hopefully we can do more. Let's see.
So you're using some artificial intelligence.
Yeah. I have actually devised an algorithm based on CRF, conditional random fields, if you are aware of that. Like HMM based, hidden Markov model, similar kind of model. So I'm just using that algorithm. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, professors. Our next speaker is Alvin from IGS, who is also the last candidate in today's session. Let's welcome Alvin for him to give his presentation.
So good afternoon everyone, my name is Alvin and I have a bad news to deliver here today. So our antibiotics are becoming useless. Can you imagine what a future it is like when simple treatments, a simple infection and you die from it because no treatments are available? So this is the global health crisis that we are facing right now. Why is this so? Because in the 1980s there's a huge development void where no one is interested to develop any more antibiotics. Because at that time, we realized that it's becoming harder to find new antibiotics, and that it is becoming a reality that the moment you release an antibiotic, there will be bugs that become resistant to it. So it's no longer so lucrative to develop a drug for it. So it's not so much of, there's not much money to be made compared to cancer and whatnot. So therefore, pharma companies have stopped developing. And now we have this crisis where misuse of antibiotics are causing a lot of antibiotic resistance around the world. And what we are trying to do right now, and what WHO is trying to do right now, is to advocate the responsible use of antibiotics. So what else can we do? We need new drugs. And the burden is huge, because by 2015, 2050 is estimated to cost 100 trillion US dollars as well as 10 million lives lost. And the global priority right now is tuberculosis. It is the 9th leading cause of death, and one-third of the world is being infected with TB. But what is the solution? Why is it so difficult to treat TB? It is because of its cell membrane layer. It has a very, very fatty cell membrane, very thick wall, which drugs cannot penetrate, and when it goes into our lungs, it gets trapped by our defense cells, and these defense cells is another layer for our drugs to reach it. So how do we stop this TB, this mycobacterium, this bacteria from producing all these fatty acid structures? That is the key target of my research, where I am trying to target a protein called polyketide synthase 13. So this protein is of a huge structure which people have not been able to solve for these years. And what we know is different snapshots of the proteins as seen here. So we only know different snapshots, we cannot really tell how the protein actually works. So without knowing the entire structure, then we will not know how it actually functions, how it does so many different activities to form such a long fatty acid, which is also the longest fatty acid chain in nature. So academically, out of curiosity, we want to know how does it do it, how does it make such a long fatty acid, and then realistically, we want to use it as well to know how to design drugs against it. And so this is what my research is right now, is to understand the structure. Can we then know how it functions, and we can then design new drugs for it. So with this, there is still a glimmer of hope, so not all is bad news. Thank you. Any questions? So antibiotics was first discovered in the 1940s during World War I era, and then a lot of soldiers were dying because of simple infections, and then penicillin came up. So that was when the death rates around the world started dropping. And then now it's starting to rise again. So at that period, it was very easy to find new antibiotics from the environment. Yeah, so therefore, that's the golden era where there's a lot of money to be made. And then finally, we realize it's getting harder and harder at sourcing, therefore the development void. And then now, we are trying to find more novel approaches to discover new antibiotics. So technology changed, and the way we approach problems has changed as well. So like for my research is to look at like structures of proteins. In the past, it was just growing bacteria and seeing how it stops growing and whatnot. Yeah, so this is how drug development has changed over the years.
Thank you, Alvin. So by now, all our registered candidates have given their beautiful presentations, and anybody here who wants to do a presentation, we allow on the spot registrations. Someone want to give it a try? Okay. If not, let's do our judges have any overall comments for the candidates today, so that they can, based on the suggestions, to improve their presentations next time? Yeah.
General suggestion, really for previous one, is that you have one slide, and in theory, the judges know this, will be focusing on that slide. So try to get as many people to look at your slide before you use it. It doesn't have to be at this page, but it has to capture it. The problem is, some slides are attempts to summarize your argument, right? So you have sequence like 1, 2, 3, A, B, C, D. The problem with the static two-dimensional slide is that it's not linear. So I have to guess your argument on that slide. And while I'm doing that, it's distracting me from actually listening to you. So the best slides are actually very simple. And they don't have to be colorful or whatever, but they need to really encapsulate what you're saying without distracting us while you're listening to you. Because if I spend more time trying to decipher your slide, I'm not actually listening to your presentation.
So try to tweak, and practically say about your friends, show them, put it up on your Facebook and ask, how many friends like, example A, B, or C, which slide do people like the most? Because that actually does work. The slides, when they're done well, actually really help boost your presentation. But don't let the slide overshadow you. Because when the slide gets too complicated, then really we end up trying to decipher the slide and not to listen to you. Just a
Thank you, Prof. Okay, so our his session is now finished. Let me introduce our following schedules. Our semifinals will be on July 6th. The venue is still here, and we will have our NTU final on July 20th. The venue is in LT2A, and our SG final will be July 27th in National University of Singapore. I hope all of you can get a good result of this competition. Thank you for attending today's peace session. Yeah, final will be in the US this year. It's Singapore finals. Yeah, our NTU final will be still in until LT2A. Yes. Okay. Thank you all.